Right, okay. So I'll bring up the page for the list actually. So yeah, so if you want to start with the MCU rankings, go from your worst to your best, and then you'll say a movie, I'll say a movie, and when we agree that one movie is bad, we'll put it on our joint list, and then in the end we'll have all of the 23 movies ranked jointly based on our individual thoughts. Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect. Right. You go first then. Kick it off.
My very first film is Incredible Hulk.
Yep. My 23rd film is also The Incredible Hulk, so we'll put that one straight on the list. And is there any reason in particular why you've put The Incredible Hulk at number 23?
The reason why I put The Incredible Hulk at number 23 is because they obviously changed actor for all the other MCU films, so that's a little bit distracting. And I just don't like the way they represented the Hulk. Like, I just don't like how they showed him off in his first appearance in the movie franchise.
Do you feel like it's like, did you prefer Edward Norton as the Hulk? So in The Incredible Hulk, like, is he an actor you would have preferred to see continue on, or did you not like his performance? Like, what did you think of his performance?
I did not like his performance in it. I don't think he would have fitted in well with the Avengers team.
Yeah.
I just don't think he would have been a good fit for him to continue on.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. Like, I think it's one of them films where it's actually not a bad film because I don't think any of the MCU films are bad. Well, personally, I don't think that because, of course, I don't think that. But I think it is just one of them films where, like, cause all the cast is different. Like, fair enough, you've got Thunderbolt Ross who's returned, but even that, like, he never mentions anything to do with like Liv Tyler because she plays Betty Ross, his daughter, and she's never even mentioned um in the future and stuff like that. Um, I don't know, like I wouldn't like to judge a movie. Like the future movies are so good because they had build up, but I don't want to call them good movies because of what other movies have done for them. Do you know what I mean? But
Yep, I know what you mean.
as it is this franchise, I think that does contribute to it. And for me, like The Incredible Hulk just doesn't feel like an MCU movie.
No, it doesn't. It feels like the old Hulk movies. It joins in well with the old Hulk movies, but in the new Marvel universe, it just doesn't fit in at all. Really.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like the black sheep of the MCU in my opinion. It's just it doesn't fit in. I've heard bad things about Edward Norton. I mean, I don't think he gave his best performance because I have seen him in other roles and I thought he was really like he's a really good actor in my opinion. Um, and I have seen him in other roles and thought, oh, he's really good in that. But I don't think he gave his full performance because he probably wasn't happy. Um, with the like, obviously there was rumours that he tried changing the script quite a lot. And they didn't really want to follow through with that. And I think you can
Mm.
kind of see that in his performance a little bit. I don't have anything wrong with Tim Roth. I actually think Tim Roth was really good in the role, um, and turns obviously into the Abomination. Um, and I think that's one thing from the film that I actually would like. Like, even though it doesn't feel like part of the MCU, I think they could work on it in the future by bringing back some of the characters from it. Like, I think the Abomination would be really good to see, and also the leader. I don't know if you can remember him because it is quite a forgettable film. So a bit of his blood drops in onto the head of the like doctor who's trying to cure him. He calls himself Mr. Blue.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and his head starts like going a bit misshapen, and basically in the comics he becomes the villain of the Hulk called the Leader. So I think it'd be quite interesting to see him as well because he's really smart. I think I'm sure that's the right character. I'm not definite, but I should probably look into that. But I'm sure he's like really smart, and I think that'd be like a really interesting villain to go against somebody who's just really strong like the Hulk. I mean, I know Professor Hulk now is smart as well. But I just think it'd be a good interaction. And then obviously with the rumours about the Thunderbolts and stuff like that, have you heard about that? Like maybe doing the Thunderbolts in the future?
No, I've not actually heard about that.
So it's basically like the Suicide Squad, but it's like the Marvel universe. It's basically like um Thunderbolt Ross puts together a group of people and they're mainly villains. Like I think the first iteration had like Elektra and people on. So Elektra's more of like an anti-hero and stuff. But they are
Right.
there to help and things like that, but they're obviously villains, and I do think it'd be quite good to get like a Thunderbolts team, but then have them go against the Avengers rather than be like anti-heroes. Um and even though William Hurt is quite like Thunderbolt Ross, the actor's quite old now, I do think he would be willing to play the Red Hulk because at the end of the day, with CGI now, you could always get another actor to do the Red Hulk, like the body work and the physical
Yeah.
aspects of it with with the CGI, and then he could just do like the voice and the transformation back into him as a person.
That could be really cool because you don't really see any Hulk villains in any other film, do you?
Well, yeah, and like apparently they're all hidden, like they're all in the raft, the like underwater prison, but like
Right.
that we see in Civil War, but obviously we never see them in Civil War, and I do think it's just a bit wasted potential. Like if they haven't been killed off, you could at least do something with them, and I think it'd be interesting to see like Baron Zemo bringing them together
Yeah, that would be cool.
because he's a smart villain but not very powerful. But yeah, it would just be good, like an Avengers team, like similar powers to the Avengers, but it's a team of them rather than an individual villain. Because even if
Hmm.
we've had like, well, no, we haven't really. We've never had any of the characters go up against a team really. Because in Captain Marvel, fair enough, it was the Kree that she was going against, but I wouldn't say it was like a whole team. It was mainly her Yon-Rogg, her like main Jude Law's character, the main guy that trained her.
Yeah, but you could also say they kind of did go against a team in Infinity War, but
But
the
they're
most
all
of
like
them were in
just
a team were
generally
two
basic
versus two.
villains. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
even the Black Order are good, and I think you see them a bit more in Infinity War, but like they still probably didn't live up to the potential. Like a whole film about them going against another team would be really good, I think.
yeah, no, yeah. I agree with you. They just need to do it, don't they?
Yeah, it's just the build up, but sorry, that went into a bit of a long ramble bit considering we're only on movie number 23. But I'll stop talking now and let you get on with number 22. Or did you want me to go for 22 since you went first last time?
You go for first or 22.
Yeah? Okay. So for number 22, I've got Iron Man 3.
Oh, Iron Man 3.
Yep. What did you have?
I put the first four.
The first Thor, just Thor.
Yeah, just
Okay.
four.
So we disagree on that one, so we won't put anything on our list. Um, See, the thing is for me, like I don't think any of the MCU movies are bad. What it was with Iron Man 3 is there wasn't any like memorable scenes for me. All I can really remember is it being quite slow in the middle when he's hanging around with a little boy. And I suppose it is quite interesting, like seeing Tony Stark, because it's more of a Tony Stark film rather than a Iron Man film, I'd say. Um,
Yeah,
so from what I remember, it's just a bit of a slow film in my opinion. Um, and it does have quite a good character arc, I suppose you could say. But for me, rankings are always based more on like what makes me excited, and even if the story isn't as good, big action scenes is what gets me going. Like that just makes me really excited. So even if something's got a better developed character, I will probably not like that as much as I'd like something that doesn't have as much character development but has really good action scenes and things along them lines, if that makes sense.
but you could also say though, like in Iron Man 3, when well, obviously Stark loses his suit, and you basically see him like take out a house with loads of gadgets he's just quickly build outside of a garage and what he's bought from a DIY store. So
Yeah,
that's really cool, showing he's more than a suit. And for me, the ending battle where he calls in all of his Iron Man suits, and they're all helping him to go against that villain who I can't remember the name of. I just really like that battle scene because it shows off all his potential for all his different suits he has made. Like some are for like super strong, others are like for like shooting long distances. I just really enjoy all the different type of suits he has created.
yeah. It's quite interesting that you've said that actually because a lot of people disliked that aspect of it. Like they loved seeing the new suits, but then it really infuriated them because he blows all the suits up as well.
Yeah, but he also did that for his girlfriend to show him that he's not the sufferer from, what was it, PTSD from when
Yeah,
he almost died in the first Avengers film.
yeah. So that's actually a part of it you don't mind. You don't mind him blowing up the suits. Like that doesn't bother you.
No, I think it just like shows he's like gone on to the next stage of like his mental health, if
Yeah.
even know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's actually quite like it's nice to hear actually. It's a completely different opinion. Like with the whole Iron Man blowing up his suits, it didn't bother me too much because I wouldn't say I'm a massive Iron Man fan, which is probably another reason it's quite low down. I mean, it does have some good scenes. I would say I really like the first part, like the first act of it, like when there's this Mandarin on the TV and he like challenges him, and then all the way up until the point where his house gets blown up. I would say I really enjoyed all of that bit. Um,
Right?
but then after that, I just felt like it got a bit slow, and like it's not a very rewatchable movie in my opinion. Like it is rewatchable, but if I had a choice and like a big selection of the Marvel movies, it's not one that I would just go for very eagerly type of thing. Um,
Hmm.
but my opinion might change after a rewatch as well. One thing I would say though is, unlike most people, the Mandarin twist didn't bother me.
See,
Because obviously the Mandarin is one of his main villains in the comics, and then
hmm,
he got angry when it was Trevor Slattery, the actor, instead of the actual Mandarin, and then Killian was pretending to be the Mandarin, and that
yep,
annoyed a lot of people. But like I said, I've never really read any Iron Man comics, so I don't know much about the Mandarin, so it didn't bother me because I don't have a connection with that character. And going forward, they're going to do the Mandarin and Shang-Chi, and I think the way it ties into that story makes a little bit more sense because he's Shang-Chi's dad, which I think is going to be a really interesting aspect of the film.
yep.
So I wasn't too bothered about that. And from what I do know about the Mandarin, he's one of sorry, my throat's gone a bit funny. He's one of Iron Man's like major villains in the comics. So I think if you do want to do someone like that, you should probably spend a few movies to build up to him, like at least two.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he's got 10 rings in the comics and they've all got different powers. So to explain that in one movie, I think would be quite a lot. And maybe the first movie could be like showing a bit of his origin and how he inherits these 10 rings. I think that would be quite interesting.
Like a back and forth type deal, like going into his
Yeah,
past and what he's doing in modern day.
yeah, maybe, but not even like that. Maybe just like a bit where we get to see how the Mandarin, like it could just be a short scene of like how he maybe inherited it, a bit like a journey, like how Thanos has a bit of a journey in Infinity War and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, that could be cool.
but yeah, I just think it's not a really rewatchable movie in my opinion. But I still like it because I like all these films, but it's
Hmm.
just better stuff in my opinion. But you said
Right.
Thor, which I was quite surprised by. A lot of people don't like the first Thor movie, they just think it's all right, but a lot of people would have the Dark World below the first Thor, I would say. So, like, can you explain a little bit why you've put the first Thor there?
Right, the reason why is because I have watched The Dark World more times than I have watched the first four.
Right.
I don't know why. I just
Okay.
Thor's a great. He is a great character now, where he's at in modern day. But
Yeah.
when the first Thor came out, I was just disappointed because he's supposed to be this almighty god, and
Yeah.
he's just acting like he doesn't have a clue how to. Obviously, he's not learned his full. He obviously hadn't learned his full potential yet,
Yeah.
but he's just relying on his teammates too much. And I don't. What was the robot called? Now they go. He destroys the small town. I
Oh,
just
the
didn't like that.
destroyer.
Yeah, the destroyer. I didn't really like his fight against the destroyer. I just did not like it.
See, I'm completely opposite. Like that's one of the things I must admit I really enjoyed. Because he's just getting beaten up, and that's when he becomes worthy again. I did like that bit. I must admit. Um, I don't have much against it. I actually found it quite funny. There are like aspects that I don't like. I mean, you don't really see much of Asgard, and I'm
No,
not a
you
massive
don't.
fan of Jane either. Um,
Right.
but other than that, I thought it was actually quite a good film. His
Hmm.
eyebrows look a bit wrong because the studios decided to dye Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows blonde, and
Hmm.
it looks a bit wrong. And I don't like the length of his hair. Like it's so petty now, but his hair in that just looks weird. And Loki, I hate Loki with short hair.
Because the first one is also all about Loki finding out like who he actually is. Like
See,
he's not
that's
actually
an element that I
Asgardian,
really
but
liked. I really liked finding that bit out about Loki, and I can see why he gets frustrated, but then I do think he gets a bit carried away. And like I said, I just don't like his short hair. Like a Loki with short hair is just not Loki to me. I don't know why. Such a small thing, but it's just not for me.
hello.
Hey, I don't know what happened. It completely cut off. Which part did you like get to? Because I wasn't sure if you could hear me and I just couldn't hear you, or
Um, last as soon as it went quiet, I just said that Loki's being a ice person didn't really account for anything he does further on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
oh,
After I said
okay.
that, it went all quiet.
Oh, okay. I can't really remember what I said because I was probably talking over you at some points as well. Um,
Right?
but I kind of shared all my thoughts on Thor anyway. So if you want to do number 21, because I just did number 22, so it's your turn now.
Yep. Right. Number 21. It is 4-2. The Dark World.
Right, okay. I'm going to open the document again because mine is also Thor the Dark World.
Oh.
And you can start with your opinions about why.
My first opinion is I didn't like the whole. Sorry, I can't remember the name. What was the red substance called?
The ether.
Yeah, I didn't like the way the ether
Hmm.
went into Thor's girlfriend, and I don't really like how that. I didn't think the ether was like strong enough for being the ether, and
Yeah, with it
the
being
dark
an
elf
infinity
as
stone.
well. Yeah, it didn't feel like a Infinity Stone whatsoever. It didn't feel powerful enough. And the Dark Elf, yes, it was cool, his whole backstory,
Hmm.
but his battle was terrible. And, and especially in that fight where they're jumping from planet to planet,
Yeah,
and then he thinks he's killed Loki, but obviously he hasn't killed Loki.
right.
He just wasn't a good enough villain controlling the ether to go up against.
Okay.
It just, yeah, wasn't very strong whatsoever. I mean, there were some funny moments when Thor's on the train and the lady falls against him and she blushes. I mean, yes, there are some funny parts, but no, it was just weak, the whole film, I think.
Yeah. Um, no, I get what you mean. Um, yeah, there are like a lot of elements that I just think are a bit off. A lot of them I agree with you on. mainly the villain, I'd say. Malekith isn't very memorable, and they had Christopher Eccleston playing him, and he's a very good actor. So I think he was a bit of wasted potential, really. I must admit, though, I think the makeup was good. I did like the makeup and how the dark elves looked. I thought they looked really good. And I don't know, yeah, I just think Malekith was underused. Like Curse, who do you know his side villain? You know the like big black guy?
Yeah, who puts on the skull mask, he turns and
Yeah.
turns bigger and stuff.
Yeah, like I thought seemed to be a better villain. Like he was physically a lot more threatening than Malekith, but Malekith just seemed to do all the talking. It was like
Yeah,
Malekith didn't have him, he would be pretty useless, I think.
yeah.
So
He definitely couldn't hold his own ground, could he?
no, not really. So yeah, there were some bad aspects with that and the villains mainly, and the just story. It was just like it just seemed a bit pointless. Like it was just an addition to the MCU. It didn't forward anything. It was just an addition to like see Thor again type of thing.
Yep.
And especially with the ending, because obviously it ends with him and Jane in the post-credit scene, but then him and Jane are completely split up, and you don't hear anything about her moving forward.
Yeah, that's really nice. And like that's supposed to be like because the Earth Guardians only get one true love, don't they? And then after that, they can't fall in love with anyone else. Well, you could say in Ragnarok, he gets feeling for what's her face?
Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie.
Yeah.
What's her name there?
Who?
Actually, that lady, the Valkyrie lady.
Yeah, her name's Valkyrie.
Oh,
Oh, the actress.
yeah.
Oh, Tessa Thompson.
Because she played that role really well, and you can say like Thor got feelings for her, but how can that happen when he's got his first true love?
Well, I don't think that's like plays a part in the MCU like only one love for the Asgardians. It's just like Jane wasn't mentioned after that, so I just thought it was a bit pointless. Like the story just didn't move anything forward. And not saying that like films that just take place individually can't be amazing, but looking at the franchise as a whole, it just didn't really help out anywhere else type of thing. There are some amazing scenes though, I must admit, like I really like how you see Thor and Loki's development. I think that is the best aspect about the movie.
Yeah, and that's really cool because Loki's locked up in the prison, ain't he?
Yeah, and I love the scenes where you see like Loki and his mother, and then you see how heartbroken he is when obviously his mother's been killed. And I think that's another amazing scene with like great music, and they even bring it back in what film is it they bring it back in? They bring it back in Ragnarok. Obviously the deaths after the mothers died, her funeral scene is really good in my opinion, and the music really makes it. And they obviously bring that back in Thor Ragnarok when Loki's making them people put on a show of his death. Which I like as well because it kind of shows like Loki is still thinking about his mother, like the music they use to honor her, he is using, even though it's a fake death he did. That's the music he's using to honor him. So it's a bit like a connection. You could look at it like that, but other than that, again, it's just not a really rewatchable one in my opinion. It's still a good film, but the MCU's got a lot more to offer, and that's quite low on mine, I'd say. So we'll move on to 20 now. So I'll go because you've just been, haven't you? You did 21, yeah?
Yeah.
So I've got Iron Man 2 as number 20.
Right.
What have you got?
Iron Man 2 as well.
You've also got Iron Man 2.
I do indeed.
Okay. So, I mean, like, I don't really have much to say because the main reason I would say my Iron Man movies, I know Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 are usually low on a lot of people's lists. Iron Man for me is probably lower on my list than most people's, not because I think the films are really bad. it just I'm not too interested in the Iron Man character.
Right.
So I'm just not that interested in his movies. Like, he is cool, but it's just like a guy in a suit, which is very interesting, and I really like seeing how his suits develop. But with
Right.
Iron Man 2, it's a bit all over the place. Like, you've got a few different storylines going on, and they just don't really jam well together. Like, the beginning, you've got Iron Man, and you see he's ill, and he's just a bit like reckless and things like he's just being really reckless, and he's like that throughout most of it. And then
Yeah.
obviously you've got Mickey Rourke's character Whiplash, and you feel a bit bad for him, but then you kind of don't, because it's made out that him and his dad were criminals, and he just comes and he's not in the movie for very long, like as the character Whiplash, and then he just goes over to like help Justin Hammer, but you don't really see anything. It just like goes into the third act, and then in the third act it's just like the big fight.
Yeah, with all his drones as robots trying to take out Iron Man and War Machine.
Yeah, so it just seems like it's a bit all over the place, and like even character motivations, like at first War Machine's like, no, this definitely shouldn't get into the hands of the government, and then he like beats up Tony and then like decides to give it to the government.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just a bit like, I don't know, just like, why would you say that and then go straight over to the government and give it away? I must admit, I love um what's his name, Don Cheadle playing War Machine. I like him a lot more than Terrence Howard personally.
Really? See, I prefer the old War Machine over the new one.
Did you, Terrence Howard? See,
yeah,
I
yeah.
prefer Don Cheadle, but it's maybe because he's in more movies. But I like him in it. And I like Pepper. I like Pepper a lot in Iron Man 2, to be honest. So
Right.
she's a good part of it. Black Widow's quite good, but she's a bit like, I don't know, sexualized, I suppose you could say, but then that is part of her act. And I do think she did well in that aspect, but again, a bit like Thor: The Dark World, like didn't help move things forward. This one helped move things forward a little bit more, but I think that's the type of movie it was meant to be. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on with Iron Man. He didn't get much character development. It was more just about introducing Shield and Natasha ready for the Avengers. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do that in that film, don't they?
Yeah, I think it is a lot of setup to say like Iron Man isn't eligible for the Avengers because he's reckless and stuff, and obviously it introduces Black Widow. So I do think it was a bit of a setup film.
See, my problem is with it. I didn't like the way Whiplash introduced himself, because he obviously first met Tony Stark on the Formula One racing track, didn't he? I don't like how Tony Stark just kind of kicked the Formula One driver out and he just took over. I don't feel like that would actually happened.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like the whole character arc where all he wanted was a pet power on his shoulder to work with.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of pointless, and the way like he just took over his company, saying, "Yeah, you're not getting man-made suits. You're gonna get robotic suits. Now I'm going to be able to hack." I just don't feel like that you could actually do all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do get what you mean. Yeah, I think Whiplash was a bit underutilized, especially because Justin Hammer is a really interesting character, I think, and I think he's underutilized as well. Like, if he was the villain, he would be amazing. Like, he actually makes that film so much better, in my opinion. Just his like charisma and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, Sam Rockwell's just an amazing actor anyway. So I think they should have either taken out. I think they should have taken out Whiplash, because Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer, even though he doesn't get loads of screen time, he's like the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he creates War Machine with all his weapons that, like, what's that tiny missile called now? When he fired, it was just a dud and it didn't do anything. And
Oh,
that
the
was cool.
ex-wife.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that is funny.
The ex-wife.
So,
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
mm,
But yeah, like even that bit where he's just shown all the weapons off, it's just he's got a lot of energy to him. He's a really good actor.
yeah,
And I think that really plays well with Tony Stark's obviously like sarcasm and banter and stuff. So
mm,
I think it's good for that reason. Yeah. It's just a shame. I think they tried cramming too much into a movie. That's the
yeah.
issue with it, I'd say. Um,
Yeah, I agree with you there.
so should we move on to number 19?
Yep, so it's my go to say, ain't it?
Is it? Yeah, did I said number 20, didn't I? So I think it's
Yeah.
your go, yeah.
Right, for number 19, I've got Captain Marvel.
Right, okay. So we disagree on this one again. So on number 19, I've got the original Thor movie. So I'm
Oh,
gonna add that to the list because you've already said it, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Right. Um, so I liked the first Thor movie better than the Dark World because I felt like it had a purpose of introducing Asgard, even though you don't get to see Asgard a lot. Um, I was happy that you did like get the initial introduction to it and to Loki and Thor, and you can kind of see where Loki's coming from. I think when you get a bit about his history, and it was kind of good to see like a few little aspects pay like show tribute to the comics, like how Odin goes into the Odin sleep and things like that. I thought that was quite interesting. But as we said, like we've spoken about Thor quite a lot when you mentioned it for your list, so I don't
Mm,
have much more to say about it. It's just yeah, it's I think it's a good MCU movie. I like the fish out of water style to it, like him breaking the mug and like he just walks around looking like a psycho. I think that's all quite funny. Um,
right.
but yeah, it's just I've said everything I think, like all my opinions on it. I do think it's a good movie, but again, the MCU's got a lot more to offer, and I think a lot of the original Phase 1 movies aren't as good as the later movies.
Mm.
But Captain Marvel, do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, my problem with Captain Marvel was, I mean, it was a good film, but it I felt it had some very slow movements because obviously it was all about her getting brainwashed because they she thought that they gave her the power that she actually got and that she lost some memory to how she actually attained her power,
Yeah.
and all about how she was hunting down the krill
Hmm.
and how they were pictured out to be such a bad race where actually they were just being hunted by them. And um yeah, I, I mean it was a very good duo between her and who was her trainer. Right now, I was keeping an eye on her.
Oh, Yon Rog, Jude Law's character.
Yeah, like them two had a very good like back and forth with each other. I thought, but and my other problem was they tried to. I don't know.
You're just not a fan of it. You
No,
can't quite
I'm
put
just
it into
not a
words,
fan.
but it's just not a film you're
Yeah,
a fan of. Nah, I think that's understandable. I think it's probably like quite a lot higher on my list than it is for most people. Um, it's
right,
just because like I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice at the cinema back to back, and I just thought
right.
I really like this. I think it's really rewatchable. I think a lot of films for me, if they move quickly and seem like they go quick, I think that's a good movie because it shows that I'm enjoying it. And for me, it was just one of them films, and I think it's got like a decent amount of action. I must admit, I had to try and force myself to like Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. I'm not a massive Brie Larson fan. I don't think I don't know if it is Brie Larson because I've seen her in The Room and I thought she was really good. But I don't think in general, like I've seen her in interviews and I'm not a massive fan. But I've never met her personally, so I can't really say. Um, I don't really like the cocky side to Captain Marvel, but that's a character decision.
Right.
That's not Brie Larson. I don't think acting it bad. I think that's a character decision by the directors. But I actually think when you look into her movie, her like she acts crazy and like she's cocky and then she's like emotional and she just doesn't really know what's going on. But I mean, if you'd been brainwashed, I think that's really understandable. So I think the way
Yeah, how you
she
would
acts, like her emotions, and she doesn't seem to know how she feels. It's like she's a bit emotionless because she doesn't show much emotion. But I think that's understandable in context of the film that she's been brainwashed and it's about her rediscovering who she is. And
Mm.
a lot of the time, if the brainwashing, which I imagine has been quite heavy considering it's alien technology, I feel like you wouldn't just be able to become a person that you were before and get your emotions back like really quickly. I think you would have to become a new person. And it just so happens to be that the new person she's becoming is a bit more cocky, which is the side that I don't really like to her. But in the film, I
Right.
think it's understandable. I like quite a lot of the 90s references, and I really like Samuel L. Jackson's character in it. The younger,
Yeah,
like,
oh,
younger
and
Nick
you also
Fury.
met the cat, didn't you?
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of cats, but I admit I actually don't mind the cat in this.
I
And
really enjoy the cat. I'm gutted you never see the cat again, though.
yeah, one thing I really don't like is how Nick Fury loses his eye. Because I think that takes away from his character being like quite badass and stuff like that. But
But
as
then again, though, I think it works pretty well because it's just really funny and how Nick Fury is kind of putting on the act to make
being a
himself,
hard man, yeah, I do get what you mean.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, as a whole, I just think it's a good movie. Like I really enjoyed it personally. And I love one aspect to it that I absolutely love. I love Talos's character.
Huh.
Talos. I think it's Talos. Do you know the main Skrull character
Yeah,
who you initially think is the villain, but you realise he's not? I think he's hilarious. Ben Mendelsohn is
yeah,
hilarious
that's
in
it.
that role. And I love he's got like that little lisp. I think it makes his character so much more funny.
Mm.
When he's speaking and stuff. Yeah, I really like that, I must admit. Um,
See, the best bits for Captain Marvel is the cat and seeing Nick Fury as a youngster in that film. But other than that,
yeah,
it just went really slowly for me, personally.
right. See, I can get what you mean because when the main character's meant to be like, when it's a film and the main character's the least interesting bit, I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't like that. But and I agree, like I don't think she's the best character in it by far. Um, but as a whole, I just like how it comes together. So it's a bit higher on my list, but we'll get to that
Mm.
a bit later. Um, so number 18, I think that's mine now, isn't it? 'Cause you've just said yours.
Yep.
So my number 18 is Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought I liked that one much more, but then obviously I hadn't seen the films for a while, so once I've done my rewatch, I think my list is going to change quite drastically. But from
right.
what I remember, it's just not one of the best. It's just I don't know. It's still a really good movie. I think the beginning is amazing. The CGI work is really good, like the really skinny Steve Rogers and everything like that. I think that's great. And his transformation into Captain America.
It's
But
great.
other than that, I can't really remember any memorable action scenes, and I know a lot of it is montage. I do really enjoy that montage, but it's such a short montage, and I think that's my like criticisms of the film because I would prefer that the action scenes in the montage are really good. So I would prefer to see them action scenes as a full action scene. Do you know what I mean?
See, well, it's higher up on my list because I've actually watched that quite a few more times, Captain America: The First Avenger,
Yeah,
because I quite like Captain America, and I just like the way how it shows how he was nobody with good spirit
yeah,
to how he got chosen to become Captain America, then
hmm
how he brought a squad together during World War Two to obviously go up against Hydra and Red Skull,
yeah,
and I just enjoy like how from his whole story out from where he was a weak nobody to being the hero of of basically World War II because he sinks his plane into the Atlantic, ain't it, with the Tesseract. And I like the way how he battles against Red Skull and how they're basically opposite sides of the same coin. And I enjoy that factor.
Yeah, I do think Hugo Weaving as well as the Red Skull is really good. I'm happy they brought him back in Infinity War because I think he would have been felt a lot more wasted if he hadn't been brought back.
Mm.
And it is hard, like looking at my list, it is really hard. I do think it's one of those where it will change once I've rewatched the movies because a lot of my list, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I could potentially move this and move that, but then I don't know. It's just a hard one. So I think after rewatching, it will definitely jump up a few places, maybe.
Mm.
But for now, that's where I felt it belonged. So yeah, it's a
Well,
shame to be
so I
quite
say
low
my
'cause it's a
number?
great film. But
Huh.
yeah,
Yeah. My number 18 was Ant-Man 2.
so Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed how obviously the Wasp is um I want to say Pixel sort of, but it's not Pixel, is it?
How she's what? Sorry.
The daughter of the original Ant-Man. What's his name? Pixel?
Oh, what? Wait, what's Scott's daughter called?
No, not Scott. No, wait. Who was the original Ant-Man? The one with the white beard. What's his name?
Oh, Hank Pym.
Yeah, and that's it. Pimp. Like I enjoy how his daughter became the Wasp, and enjoy how cool the Wasp suit looked.
Yeah,
But I just didn't like the whole storyline of them working out how to bring back the original Wasp back from the what's the place called?
the Quantum Realm.
Yeah, the Baltimore, and I did enjoy the villain in that, who actually she was just suffering because she needed the dust to keep herself alive. I
Yeah.
just did not enjoy that whole storyline behind that. But the cast in Ant-Man 2 is great. Like there is a really funny film. I just hate the storyline.
Ah, see, one of the main reason I really like that I'm a big fan of the Ant-Man films, both of them, I'd say. Um, and yeah, it's mainly because of the cast. I do love the cast, and I also love how like it is small scale. Even though I love the bigger movies, like the Avengers ones, I do like the smaller scale of it. Um, And I really enjoyed the story of them trying to get Janet back from the quantum realm, especially when she keeps taking over Scott, and then Scott's talking to Hope, the Wasp, as if
Mm,
as if he is her mom.
yeah,
I found that really funny, and like obviously I love Louise and all of Scott's like not henchmen, but the guys he works with. Um,
yeah,
I really enjoyed it, and I liked the action scenes with the shrinking and that. And I'm like I feel opposite to you actually. I enjoyed the villain because
no,
she's not really a villain. Um,
no, she wasn't. She was just suffering, wasn't she?
yeah,
But
and I don't think Goliath is a villain either. He's just trying to help her out because he cares for her, which I think is
yeah,
interesting. And I think it's interesting to show how experiments and things can have bad side effects, the same as they can with the Hulk, for example. I like showing how
mm,
that it also affected like experiments affect other people in bad ways. Um, like it mainly does tend to be villains. So like obviously the Red Skull became like he took the super soldier serum and it went wrong. Same with like
yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to think of other people like the villain in Ant-Man 1, Yellow Jacket. He takes a similar serum, but it makes him go a bit crazy. So it does
yeah,
tend to be the villains a lot of the case. But in them cases, they do just tend to become evil. Whereas with her, she's not evil. She's just trying to survive.
yeah. Doing what she
Um,
has to do.
yeah, and yeah, you can tell she doesn't really want to harm people, but obviously she has to do what she's got to do in order to survive. And I found that quite
Yeah,
interesting. And I thought her fears and powers were really interesting as well.
yeah. But the other thing, like she was a good villain, but the other thing that annoys me is how did the mother survive in the quantum realm? What? Like obviously her DNA structure changed, but
Yeah.
what was she eating? How like
Yeah,
they
but
don't really
there's a whole
explain that.
city in the quantum realm, though. You do see a brief, like snapshot of it in the film. There's a whole city there because there's been rumors
Right?
that's where the Fantastic Four might be, um,
No.
and things like that. So if all that comes into play, I think it's hinted at, and I think it'll be interesting to see in the future how it ties in. And I also think Ant-Man and the Wasp is there to set up that the quantum realm is very powerful and you can travel through time. I think her coming back and surviving is plays a big part into how Endgame goes because obviously the time travel through there.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite a good setup for that as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I know a lot of people don't have it very high up on their list. So that's what I love about films. They're so subjective, and it all depends what you want. Because for me, I think they're quite comedic films, and I like that aspect to it. So it
Yeah.
ranks quite high on my list. Um,
Right. Should we go for number 17 then?
yeah. Did you just say yours, or did I say mine?
You said yours,
I said
so
my I
goes
said
back
my
to me.
18. Yeah. So you do your 17.
Yeah. My 17 is Ant-Man.
The first Ant-Man. Okay.
Yeah, the first Ant-Man.
Right, you can explain on that one then if you want.
Alright, where to start? I really enjoyed how it was kind of like a heist movie where he's training, he's working out obviously his old headquarters, how to break in and how to steal the old suit. It had really funny bits like the cast again, they were great with each other, great banter back and forth.
Yeah.
There were some really funny scenes where he obviously gets and John Ant as a pet near the end of the film, and how he throws the Thomas the Tank Engine train at the yellow suit, but and how he just had a tank in his on his keychain, and how he just like made it full size and drived out, and like it was really funny, but for me it's not really that rewatchable.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
Again, I disagree with that one. I love all the cast in it, which is a big element of what makes the movie. And even
yeah,
looking at my list now, I'm thinking I think I could have. I don't know if I could have ranked it higher. I'm trying to see where it is. I don't know if I would have ranked it higher, but I'm a big fan of it. I love training montages and shown characters training, and quite a big part of Ant-Man, the second act of it, I would say, is a training. Like it is all about
yeah.
him training and mastering the ants, and I love learning about the different types of ants and what how they can help him in different missions and things like that. And I like the family dynamic and the bit of conflict between Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne, and then her frustration at bringing Scott in and all of that. I mean, one thing I would say is Yellow Jacket is a very bland villain. He's just like a copy of Ant-Man.
He did look very cool though. I will give
He
him
looks,
that.
yeah, his suit is amazing, but he is just a bland villain. But
Yeah,
I do think the comedy and the cast surrounding it and the story for me, just him training up and how it is smaller scale, like especially coming after Avengers Age of Ultron, which is a massive scale movie. Yeah, I just think I really enjoyed it. I think it's really rewatchable. Like I think it goes so quickly when you're watching that film. So I definitely know that I enjoy that film because again, like I said, when a film goes quickly when you're watching it, I think it's a really good film. Yeah, and I love the Falcon appearance as well. The little Falcon fight. I think that's great.
oh yeah. Yeah,
That
when
is,
he shrinks and goes into his suit. Yeah, no, it's quite a cool bit. And
yeah,
he's like talking in his ears, like, "Where are you?" It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
that is definitely a standout. So yeah, I love that. So my it's number 17, isn't it? I'm getting lost.
yeah.
My number 17
Number
is
17.
actually Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So it's quite low down on mine. I don't really have too much to say about it, really. Again, with all Marvel films, I think the cast is really good. Like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is great, but
Yeah.
in this movie, he isn't, in my opinion.
Really?
Like, after this movie, I never thought to myself, oh, Doctor Strange is a cool and interesting character. I never wanted to look further into him. I thought if they don't make another movie, it won't really bother me. If he doesn't appear in anybody else's movie, it won't really bother me.
Right.
When I saw him in Infinity War, I really liked him. But his movie should have done that for me, I think, and it didn't. Infinity War did it with everything else that
Did you not like?
War was doing.
Right. Did you not like the duo though between him and his cape? About how his cape is for his own mind and always trying to help Doctor Strange out. Like, I thought that was quite a comedy aspect to it.
It is quite interesting, but I'm not really a big magic fan and stuff.
Right.
So it didn't appeal to me that much. Like I'm a bit more of like a brute strength type of. I like characters with the brute strength. Although I will say the visual effects in it are amazing. I think that's it would have actually been low on my list if it wasn't for the visual effects and things like that.
Because it was very much like intersection of how all the buildings and the world they linked, yeah, like changed up. It reminded me of the intersection, but yeah.
Yeah, I think just the whole visual thing, like even the way the actors move their hands and things like that, because like I've tried moving my hands the way they move their hands, like to create the shapes, and it's really difficult. So I appreciate all the work that actors put in, and yeah, I just think the special effects really help bump the movie up. But for me, I just wasn't interested in the character after seeing the movie, and I thought that's something I want from the movie. Like I at least want to see a sequel and be interested. And I felt like Infinity War did a better job of that, even though he had far less screen time. So I think that's why it ranks so low on my list.
Right.
So we on our list, we're now down to number 16, but on our connected list, so singular lists, individual lists, we're on to number 16, but on our joint list, we've only got places 23, 22, 21, and 20, so we're only on number 19, which we still need to find.
Right.
So if we go down to, on our individual list, if we go down to number 15 today, and then next time we can pick up on the later movies as well, if you want another day.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay, so number 16, I'll go first with this one. So I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Ooh.
So what have you?
Well, know what my number 16 is before you discuss it?
Yeah, you can go for your number 16.
My number 16 was Black Panther.
Oh, okay. Yep, fair enough. So I'll go first. So, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for me, it's weird because when I saw it, I honestly thought it was one of my favourite Marvel films.
Right.
And I do still love it. The main thing I love is I'm a massive Fleetwood Mac fan, so the soundtrack on the first and the second one though always bumped up a level for me. The soundtrack
they are great.
They are just a massive part of the movie. Like a lot of films, the music really helps make the film, but it's so important in this film because it is a massive part of Star-Lord's character as well. It's not just it fits the scenes, it is a major driving force in the films.
Yeah, it is.
I love some of the character development, like Yondu. I loved Yondu even after the first movie. I thought his power was amazing, like the whistling to control the arrow. So I was heartbroken when he died because a lot of people, they were like, after the first film, they were like, oh, fuck Yondu. I'm not even a big fan of Yondu. But then after the second film, they were like, oh, I love Yondu. But I always loved Yondu anyway because I loved his power. I thought it was great.
And he's a great actor. The actor who plays him just fits that role so good.
Actor. He is very good. So I thought that whole story with him and Rocket, I loved the story between him and Rocket being very similar, and then also him coming back at the end and getting that funeral, and the funeral sequence at the end, again, excellent choice of music throughout the film, especially that scene. I just thought it was really good, and it actually made me cry. I don't cry at a lot of films. And Sean Gunn's performance, so Sean Gunn is the director James Gunn's brother, and he plays Kraglin. So he's not a big part. He also does the mocap for Rocket Raccoon, but he's not a big part in it. But in that film, just his acting when, like, obviously they start giving him the Ravager funeral is amazing. Like, I thought his acting then was really, really good. So I loved that. And the character development, like I said. Also, it's got one of my favourite scenes of the MCU in, when basically Star-Lord's under the trance and Ego says, "It killed me to put that tumour in her head." And he's just straight out of the trance, shooting at him before he's even finished the dialogue. I honestly think that's one of the best moments in the MCU. I loved that. So I'm picking out loads of amazing points, and I do think if I re-ranked these, even in a few days, it would move up a bit. Like I said, I haven't watched many of them in quite a while, so it's hard for me. But the issue I do have with it is the Guardians get split up. So you've got Gamora, Drax, Mantis, and Star-Lord, obviously with Ego. I mean, Mantis lives everywhere, so. And then you've got the Rocket, Groot, and Yondu. And every time we were on Ego's planet, I was a bit bored.
Yeah, like, I agree with you.
I thought visually it was very beautiful, but I was a bit bored. So the only time I was really, really interested in the film is when it was Yondu, Rocket, and Groot. And they're split up for the majority of the film. So I would say for half of the film, I felt like it was quite slow. And then the other half, it was great. But I would have preferred to equally like what the Guardians were doing rather than thinking to myself, can we go back to Rocket and Groot and Yondu now?
See,
you know what I mean?
I really enjoyed the film, but the bit when they're all on the planet and Star-Lord is obviously going against Ego, I didn't like the bit when he turned himself into Pac-Man. I thought that bit was really unnecessary and pointless. Yes, it was a like arcade reference, but I just did not enjoy that bit.
I mean, that's such a tiny part in my opinion, so that doesn't bother me either, because I thought it was quite funny because I know what Star-Lord's character's like and he's all about references and everything like that, so that didn't bother me. But yeah, it's just I felt like I shouldn't have been thinking during the movie, can we go to these characters now because I'm bored of this part. So yeah, that's the only reason it's at number 16, because like I said, I've obviously pointed out a lot of reasons why I really liked it. So yeah, what did you say your number 16 was?
It was Black Panther.
Yeah, so you can go into that now.
The reason why I did not really enjoy Black Panther is because obviously the build up for it, I just thought the build up was too overhyped for the actual film. Yes, it was all black cast, great, brilliant, but they did not need to overhype it in that way. They should have overhyped it because of his character and how they were showing off Wakanda, because it has some brilliant actors in it. And the CG at the very ending fight scene, I just thought was like terrible. The fighting wasn't brilliant. But then again, it has some really cool scenes, like where they're obviously Killmonger and Black Panther is fighting to attain the kingdom over Uganda, because they're all in that waterfall, aren't they, fighting it out? And obviously Killmonger wins first, but it was just all the overhypeness before the film actually came out. And to this day, it still reminds me every time I watch Black Panther about everything that happened before I actually saw the film.
So do you think the film is actually a bad film? Is the reasons why you don't enjoy the actual film, say there was no hype around it, nobody had spoken about it. What's the reasons you don't actually like the film?
God, let me think.
Because I completely get where you're coming from. And originally I was thinking, but then when I thought about the film itself, I thought it's not as good as what it's made out to be, but it's still an amazing film when you look into the film itself. So it was very overhyped.
Yeah, it was.
But I wouldn't let that take the experience of a good film is a good film whether it's overhyped or not.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but for me, Black Panther, it's always going to stay in my mind. Like every time I would put it on about everything that happened before the film actually came out.
Right. So just the whole world around it kind of influences how you feel about the film.
Yeah, and how everyone reacted when the film first came out.
Yeah. I suppose that can be a big aspect, is other people's responses as well and how it, yeah. Yeah, I do get what you're saying, type of thing. I mean, I disagree a bit because it's higher on my list.
Right.
And even though I think it was very overhyped, I don't think it takes away what a great movie it is.
Right.
But yeah, if you want to continue with your number 50.
Number 50.
And this can be
right,
our last one for today, and then we can continue another day.
Sounds good to me. Right, my number 50 is Captain America, the First Avenger.
Right, mine is not that, but I've already said that, so that's going to go down as number 19 in our joint list. So Captain America, the First Avenger. Do you want to talk a bit about why? I mean, I know we talked about it when it was on my list, but do you have anything you want to add?
Like, I guess the only bad points I can put into it is that some of the vehicles that they were really cool, but at the same time they were a bit ridiculous in that kind of meaning. Like the super long car going against a massive plane where he had Red Skull had his bomber pilots on where they were just flying on a sharp bomb. I thought that bit was a bit ridiculous, but I do think it's a really good film about how he, obviously, how he became Captain America and how the two sides of the same coin, and how you learned out that Red Skull he's always constantly burning inside, so he's always filled up with anger because he's always in pain. And I just like the way they introduce, obviously, that you see how Bucky and Cap are friends, and like how Captain America reacts when he thinks he loses Bucky on the whole train scene.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting how it shows the dynamic of obviously how Bucky used to be the like intimidating one and the good looking one and everybody wanted him, and then they switch and you can tell Bucky's a bit like, oh, he's a bit jealous, isn't he? Yeah, I do think it is interesting, but sorry, continue because you were still speaking.
I get left off. And I also like the way it introduces Tony Stark's father, because obviously they go to world of tomorrow type future thing, and Tony Stark's father is trying to show off his flying car. And I also like the way Captain America got his shield, because he picked up the prototype off the bottom shelf, didn't he? Because he was trying to give him like this shield with like rocket grenades and stuff like that. And he was just like, no, I want this one. Just paint the American flag on it. I'll have it. And I really enjoy like him like taking down all of the Hydra base, and how they introduced Hydra and how they actually formed the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I do like that. And I love Peggy Carter and Tony Stark in it. They're really good actors. I really enjoyed them. And obviously having seen the Peggy Carter series, I like them even more. It was quite low on my list. I mean, I've got it at number 18, but I do think it's one of them things where I'm going to have to rewatch it and then rank it, and I do think it's going to come up a lot more on my list.
All right.
Because it is a great film. It is. Just for now, I can't remember it too much. But number 15 on mine is one of the newer ones, Phase 3, Spider-Man Far From Home.
No.
So,
how come?
I've never been a massive Spider-Man fan, if I'm honest. And I do love Tom Holland. I think he's a great Spider-Man. And I loved Homecoming. I did think that was really good. That actually got me into Spider-Man quite a bit. But with Far From Home, it's just, I've seen it very recently, so I remember all of it. And still it just doesn't stand out to me. So when I'm remembering literally the whole movie and it's still not standing out, I just thought, it just doesn't stand out as much as the other movies. I mean, I love it. I still think it's great. I love all these movies. But I think the aspect that I dislike is I feel like there's quite a lot of relationshipy and school bits. And I know Spider-Man's character is it's about him
In
in
school.
school and things like that. I don't really like the aspect to it where Peter Parker's like, I want a break. Like, I understand from a teenager's perspective, you would be like that. But then I feel like as a superhero, he would be at another level. And I thought he's really unselfish in the comics anyway. So he would never think like that. He would always think, I'm going to do my best to protect others.
But then again, he did just lose his mentor, Tony Stark. So I guess he would be more in a vulnerable space.
Yeah, which is very understandable. Also, as well, like many people, I don't really like the way he is a bit like an Iron Boy, like how he uses technology to, like, his suit.
I really enjoyed that bit when he was making his suit.
I enjoy him making it, but then I also think it is based quite a lot on Iron Man technology, which isn't really the Spider-Man character.
Well, yeah, because in the comics, you obviously see Spider-Man quite often make his own inventions for his suit, doesn't he?
Well, exactly, yeah. And yeah, like just some of the more teenage elements of it I found a bit cringy. And obviously the relationship. I really like this version of MJ a lot more than Mary Jane from like the Spider-Man films. But I'm just not into relationshipy stuff, so I just found it a bit like boring and unnecessary because it's not just him getting in a relationship, it's his friend Ned who's also in a relationship. Yeah. I just prefer none of that was there. On the other hand, all the Mysterio special effects I thought were outstanding. Like the scenes with Mysterio were amazing.
Yeah, they were.
I would say though, I was a bit disappointed when in the end you found out it was drones that was controlling all of it.
Yeah, I was also disappointed because I thought now it's his own power. But at the same time, I'm disappointed. At the same time, I'm not, because that's why he stole Tony Stark's glasses, wasn't it? So he could attain the power to control his drones in that way.
Yeah, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal's a great actor, but I do feel like his character's a bit one note. Like, fair enough, Tony Stark has done him wrong in the past, but it's a bit.
Yeah, he definitely couldn't do a second film with him, could you?
Crazy as he does, and even the people he works with, like, fair enough, Tony Stark's like fucked them over, but they're willing to kill a child, like a kid.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Especially because in the beginning of the MCU, a lot of the Marvel villains weren't very well developed because it was more about developing characters. But as they've progressed in the Phase 3, I feel like the villains have got a lot better. Like with your Killmonger, your Thanos, your Michael Keaton's Vulture, I think they've got better.
Yeah, they have definitely gotten better from the first days of Marvel.
Yeah. So I think this is just a bit of a downfall because even though Mysterio's power is amazing and it's all very interesting, it's just his motivations, in my opinion, is a bit lackluster.
Yeah, it was just annoying his project got terminated by Tony Stark, right? And that's why he set out revenge against Spider-Man, kind of.
It's just annoying because he's such a phenomenal actor. I am interested though to see if he is still alive, because you don't actually see him die. Well,
No,
see him
you
die,
don't
but
do
you
it.
don't see the body after he's dead, so you don't know for sure. And before I finish talking about why I love why this one's at this position on my list, I love the post-credit scene, like the end credit and post-credit scenes. The first one, when it's revealed Peter Parker's Spider-Man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Honestly, it was mental. I'm really annoyed though, because I watched a YouTube video and they were speaking about a leak, and in the leak, it said that these were going to be the post credit and the mid credit scene, and it mentioned J. Jonah Jameson returning. So when I saw him, I was so thrilled, but it was disappointing because I knew it was going to happen, so I was expecting it. And I think it would have been so much better if I hadn't have read that. So now I don't read plot leaks in case that happens, because it really does take away from your experience.
Yeah, you kind of know what to expect then, don't you?
Well, yeah. And even though I wasn't sure if it was fully true, it's just you've got it in the back of your mind, so if it does happen, it's not as exciting and shocking. So I don't read plot leaks anymore. And the Nick Fury one as well, turning into Talos, I love that because, again, like I said, I love Talos, the Talos character. I think he's really funny. Talos.
Yeah.
Keep calling him Talos. I think it's Talos because his wife calls him Talos.
I actually forgot that bit about Nick Fury, because where is he? He's up in space, isn't he?
Space, isn't he? Which I also think is interesting to see where that moves forward. So,
will he meet up with Guardians of the Galaxy, or will he go with Captain Marvel type thing?
Yeah, it's good because it's a funny little post-credit scene, but it's also got the potential to set a lot up.
Yeah, because you also because obviously in Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man film, obviously you obviously had Spider-Man. Spider-Man 4, he was fighting the Eternals, weren't he?
Yeah.
And that's actually becoming its own film, ain't it, the Eternals? If I am correct.
Yeah, the Eternals. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So now's a good little setup for one of the next films to find out what the Eternals actually are.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah. I don't think it'll tie much into the Eternals, though, if I'm honest.
No, I don't think it will. I just think it's a nice little head nod.
It's taken place over a long time, but I think it's very interesting to see how it could set up potential TV shows like Agents of Sword, like Sword, which is like the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And things like that. I think it's great to see how it could set all that stuff up, if I'm honest. So it is interesting, but that's the number 15 on my list. And what was yours again, number 15?
Captain America.
The First Avenger. Right, perfect.
Yeah.
So should we leave the list there for today? And then we can pick up on it another day, maybe ranking from 15 to maybe 15 to our top, or we'll just wait and see. Depends how much time we've got on different days, I suppose. But for the time being, just run me through your list from number 23 to number 15.
Right. So obviously it was Hulk 4, Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man, Black Panther, and Captain America.
Okay, and mine is 23, The Incredible Hulk, 22, Iron Man 3, 21, Thor the Dark World, number 20, Iron Man 2, number 19, the first Thor film, number 18, the first Captain America film, Captain America the First Avenger, number 17, Doctor Strange, number 16, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and number 15, Spider-Man Far From Home. But as a joint list, I'll go through what we've got. So number 23, we've got The Incredible Hulk. Number 22, we've got Thor the Dark World. Number 21, Iron Man 2. Number 20, Thor. And number 19, Captain America the First Avenger. So I actually think we're doing quite well, considering we've got 19 on our joint list and we're only on number 15. That's quite good going, because I've seen other people's lists where they do a joint one and literally some of them are down to like number 5 and they're still only on like number 15 in their ranking together. So I think we must have quite similar thoughts, but also some that differ quite a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've enjoyed that. And again, it's good to see how people's opinions vary. So
Yeah.
I think we'll end that one here and then pick up again with our number 14s on our ranking list and then see how we go from there. Hi guys, it's Bridie. Thanks for watching the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to receive any updates on new videos I've got coming out.